We don't really think about how our childhood has shaped not just our own self, but also that relationship with food, relationship with fitness, actually consuming more calories than your body actually needs, but you're not getting the right nutrition. You do not have to feel guilty about wanting to lose weight. There's nothing wrong with that. It's okay to have a conversation with your in-laws if you go to their place and there is just junk galore everywhere and that doesn't feel good to you.
Welcome to the Energy Upgrade Podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa Grutman. And if you are a high-achieving woman, a successful entrepreneur, an inspiring entrepreneur, or just a woman with kick-ass big dreams, you're in the right place. If you value your energy, your health, if you want to be a biohacker, tap into longevity, if you want to raise the impact you have in this lifetime, you're going to have a lot of fun around here. As a second-time seven-figure business creator, certified health practitioner, and soul biohacker, I'm here to reconnect you to your energy, to the soul of your business, and to your superpowers. Let's go. Welcome home. Welcome back to another episode of the Energy Upgrade. This is your host, Vanessa Grutman, and today I am joined by the beautiful Leah Van Dolder, live from beautiful Nosera, Costa Rica. And I'm so excited to be speaking. Actually, it's the first time on the show that I'm going to be speaking with a registered dietitian. You're also, Leah, a mindset mentor. You and I have connected through the Illuminate community, which is the Life Wave patch, which, by the way, shameless plug, if you haven't heard about this incredible life-changing patch that you and I are both wearing on a daily basis, and it keeps blowing our mind. I'm going to put the link in the show note. But Leah, you're joining us from beautiful Costa Rica, where you've been there for 2 months, escaping Canadian winter, which I love. And today I wanted to have a conversation around weight, because I know that the women that are listening to the podcast, there's probably not a single one of them that hasn't had thoughts, desires around weight. Some of you listening, it might be that you have a hard time gaining weight. And some of you might be that you have a hard time shedding weight and you've tried everything. You've tried every diet. You've tried, oh my gosh, it's quite an overwhelming world out there, the world of weight loss. And so today I wanted us to have like a really grounded conversation. I love the advices that you're giving. We're very aligned. And so before we even start, why don't you just give us a quick peek at your journey, looking this fabulous and fantastic in a bathing suit right now. If you're watching on YouTube, you get to see her in all her glory.
Well, thank you. I know, with it being 37 degrees outside. Yeah, I'm just living in my bathing suit. And you know what? That wouldn't have been me 7 years ago. And, I think for all of our listeners, I know what it feels like to feel really stuck and uncomfortable. And I'll never forget, it was about 7-8 years ago, I was up on stage doing a presentation in front of a big audience. And I felt so poured into my jeans. I felt so uncomfortable. And what I noticed in myself in that moment was I was so in my head, and I was thinking about how uncomfortable I was and how self-conscious I was. And then I was just thinking about what the people in the audience would think of me. And I realized in that moment, I'm like, wow, I am really taking away from the service that I am providing here. And I felt like that was such a pivotal moment for me, because it's like, all right, Leah, this is not just affecting you and how you feel in your body and how you show up, but this is literally affecting how you serve others and like your ability to serve at your highest capacity and serving at the highest impact that was necessary for me to feel like I was doing my absolute best. And being my absolute best. So fast forward to today, where yeah, like I'm just living in my bathing suit. But I mean, somebody mentioned to me the other day, I love how the timing of everything is somebody popped into my DM this morning and they're like, I noticed how shamelessly you show up in your bathing suit. And I just wanted to say like kudos. And I said, well, the confidence in that didn't come from changing my body. It came from changing my mind and how I felt about myself.
Boom.
Boom. So yeah, now I'm sweating. We're on to something.
Oh
But
my gosh. Yeah.
yeah, I know I said a lot there, and I don't know if I really answered your question, but that really was a pivotal moment of recognizing like this is so much more than just me and how I feel. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping women, especially like women in leadership. Got a lot of responsibilities, and like you just crave to be seen, be heard, but at the same time, you're almost terrified to be seen, be heard, especially if you're like on camera, you're showing up on YouTubes, you're doing stuff on stage, everything. So it's a lot of, and I think what is so beautiful about this entire journey with myself and the women that I work with is, your weight loss or your body transformation journey is so much more about that relationship with self and healing your relationship with self. And it's almost like this inside out. It is, it's an inside out job. It's beautiful.
Yes, and oh, so that's why I knew that bringing you and speaking about weight in that context would jive with me because um yeah, oh my gosh, we hear so many things and there's so much shaming. There's so
Mm,
much like, oh, you should do more of this. Or if you're not losing the weight, it's because you're not working out enough or you're not lazy
totally.
enough. And there's so much shaming. And the truth is, especially the women you're speaking of, the women in business, women in leadership. I mean, even just like the CEOs of the household, mothers,
Totally.
we already carry so many responsibilities. But one thing that blew my mind about weight and the subconscious connection. So you touched on, the weight is never going to drop if you make it about the weight and if you make it
Yeah.
about what others will think of you. The weight will start dropping when you start reconnecting to your essence, to your true nature, like you've mentioned, and you start falling in love with yourself again, which, oh my goodness, we haven't been shown this. We
Yeah.
haven't seen that from our moms. I don't know about you, but me, my mom, I've
Yes.
seen her yo-yo in her weight doing Weight Watchers and counting the number of bread slices she could have and putting it in her little notebook, losing the weight and gaining it all over a weekend after of her go like it. That's what I've witnessed all my life. And
Yeah.
it was this, need for quick fixes and external validation. And gosh, I mean, I hope we got the memo now. If there was
Yeah.
a quick fix for weight, and I know that a lot of people are going down the Ozempic road right now, thinking that that's the quick fix, but anytime you put something in your body, there's always pros and cons. So,
Yeah.
anyway, we're not going to make
Yeah.
this about Ozempic, but I'm just saying, there are fantastic holistic ways to rewire your relationship with yourself and go into like the mindset work that you talk about and this feeling of safety. And I'd love
Yes.
for us to talk about that because this is something I've been able to see in myself. Ultimately, if you don't feel safe being sexy and beautiful because perhaps you have some sexual trauma, but maybe you have some previous lifetime traumas. If you don't feel safe, you're going to keep on the weight. It's going to keep you protected. I'd love to hear you on this because I have witnessed that so much in clients that were in toxic relationships finally managed to get out of it and drop 30 pounds without even trying. And just finally they feel
Yeah.
safe being themselves. It's mind blowing.
Yeah. Yeah. And like my mind goes to a bunch of things, but I really love what you said about and bringing it back to childhood. And you mentioned your mom, and I think that's a great place to take this conversation because I think we don't really think about how our childhood has shaped not just our own self, but also that relationship with food, relationship with fitness. And that's a big part of it's like the peeling back all the onion layers, right? It's
Yeah.
like, tell me about your upbringing. What was the food environment like at your house? Tell me about your mother's relationship with food and her body. And I think that's such a amazing. There's so much there. There's so much there. And whether you grew up in a home where, like I'll think of a couple of, client examples, but, like so many women, they're like, oh, yeah, mom grew up doing every single diet under the sun. And, when the scale dropped, she was a better person, that external validation there. And then when the scale didn't move, then she would restrict. Or if she was really ticked off and frustrated about something, she would bake and then like force all the baking on everybody else. So it's just really interesting to like be aware of
Yes.
those patterns.
Femme Biohacker is the movement that gets you to move, to finally go all in on your dream of financial freedom and life fulfillment. It's the place that will get you to harness your energy and start seeing it as your main asset. I created this movement when realizing that success in the online world was an energy game and not so much of a strategic one like we'd been led to believe. I started noticing how when I mastered my energy on a physical, emotional, spiritual, and energetic level, I literally became unstoppable. Femme Biohacker is the program that helps you reconnect with your life force. And from that place, women are remembering their soul's mission, creating business masterpieces from their hearts, communicating and marketing their messages with ease, and ultimately feel in alignment in their life while doing it. From this unapologetic stance, energy flows. And you guessed it, money too. So, will you make a move and join us?
Some other ones too, just around fitness, like when did fitness become this thing to punish us for like overeating or, like even the language around cheat meals, right? It's like really looking and becoming aware of what language did your mom use? What language are you using? Because words carry a lot of power and energy. And I mean the ripple effect too, not just looking at your mother's or even your father's relationship with food and whatnot, but even looking at your kids too, because how you speak about your body and food and fitness, 100% it's being passed on to them. And having a conversation with two women this morning around it's okay to have a conversation with your in-laws if you go to their place and there is just junk galore everywhere and that doesn't feel good to you. It is okay to have a conversation and set a standard of eating, of living. And it's not like you're, trying to like wrestle them into changing their behaviors, but it's just simply saying like, hey, this is where I'm at. This is what's really important to me. And this is a decision that we've made as a family that at our next family meal, we're going to be showing up with some salads and some lean proteins instead of just eating tacos and chicken wings and beer,
Wait, what's wrong with tacos?
No, tacos are great. I've been talking about tacos all day long. So that's the first thing that came to mind.
But here's the thing. Yes, exactly to what you're saying. But this is what I've noticed. It takes a while for women to actually get to that level of ownership and self-respect because, again, we've been shown to be the good girl and we've been shown to please and not, really say what we mean. And so that's the thing. There's kind of an order. In order for us to be able to voice this and feel safe, we first have to reconnect with ourselves and we first have to reconnect with our why. And I love what you said about your story at the beginning, where you noticed that actually you having these thoughts was lowering your impact. It was lowering the frequency you were in. It was therefore, not, you weren't in full service of the people you were here to help. And that should be your why. Like, I'm
Yeah.
doing it for me so that I can create that frequency in my family, in my kids, in my husband, in the clients I help. So everywhere I show up in this higher frequency. And
Yeah.
literally, that's what inspired me to start the Femme Biohacker movement, because to me, that's what a Femme Biohacker is. She's not compromising
Yeah.
the results and the success, yet she's learned to soften her heart, and she's learned to fall in love with herself again, and she's learned to really tap into this feminine and nervous system restoration, and really being able to have boundaries, like and if you're listening and you're like, okay, why are we talking about boundaries and identity? I thought this was going to be a weight conversation. Well, you are in the right place, because these are the things that are
Yeah.
not spoken about enough. Like, it blows my mind that we are still in this calorie in, calorie out sort of Weight Watchers type of mentality. This is
Yeah.
what I've grew up with. And I have to say, as you were sharing some of your examples, I'm like, ooh, I still have some of these things that are anchored in me where, the definitely my mom was attaching her worth to her weight for
Yeah.
sure. And
Yeah.
so I've picked that on. Like, I've taken that on. Like, I have those thoughts. Like, isn't it wild? It's wild. So where do we begin? Like, where do we reframe? What do you suggest?
Yeah. I think for even a starting point with that, awareness is a great place to start. Like being just knowing what passed on, what you might be carrying. And I love the language that you use too, Vanessa, around the ownership of like, okay, this has been the case. This is what it was when I grew up. And it's like I have the ability to make things a little bit different.
Yeah. I get to choose
Yeah.
differently.
I get to choose differently. I get to be the shape shifter of the family. I get to do things differently for me and for my family, and like bringing that why.
Yeah.
And I really love, honestly, I just love the power of reframes too. And when women work with me and they talk about, I don't know, even like clear the plate mentality, for
Mm.
example, it's like clear the plate mentality. We
There's
grew up,
children in Africa that don't get to eat today.
yes.
I
So
grew up to that.
yeah. So it's like feeling unsafe to leave, like it's uncomfortable to leave food on my plate, but yet I'm really full. And I'm doing this because I can hear like my grandmother's or my mother's voice in my head. So, for an example like that, kind of like picking apart, it's like identifying what that internal real is and also the feelings that are attached to that. So, it's like if you feel like you need to clear your plate, like what's gonna happen if you don't? Let's just be curious instead of like being critical. Let's just be curious. What would happen? What would actually happen if you didn't finish your plate? And then everybody has their own answer, right? Everybody has their own answer. But what I love about just the questions around, let's just be curious, and would you be okay to maybe dissect that a little bit and go from an angle of like, what would happen if you didn't? And practicing just leaving a couple of bites of food on your plate. How does that feel? How does that sit with you? Did you die? Did you die from leaving a couple of bites on your plate? Sure, it felt
Did a child in Africa die?
yeah, because of you not eating the last two bites of your plate. So it's like
Yeah,
I just,
but that's when we realize how deeply rooted and how sneaky it is.
yes.
And what gets me every time I hear this, I go, I can't help but feel like, oh shit, like I've messed up my own kids with some of my things, that's for sure. And that motivates me to heal those patterns even more because I realize how unhealthy they are, and that relationship to food is so critical. I mean, it is what
Mm,
can either make us sick or keep us alive and
yeah.
thriving and
Yeah.
really aging gracefully, literally. And so
Yes.
that relationship to food is just so important.
Yeah, it really is. And another thing that just came to mind too with just almost it's rewiring, like unpacking and then rewiring your relationship with food. And it's, I call it a friendship. Like you're rewiring a friendship with food.
Hmm.
And, even with it's funny too when I do unpacking and help women really like figure out like what would happen if we did things differently. What would happen if you left food on your plate? And the amount of giggles and the amount of like, oh my gosh, this sounds so childish to hear this stuff out loud. It really like I love hearing that because it's like we get to do a lot of inner child healing with this. And I think honestly, just having the space to actually talk about this stuff because we don't have these conversations with like our sister at the barbecue. We don't have these type of conversations with our friends. We're not like, hey, how fucked up is your food mentality? Like we complain about like how uncomfortable we are, where we talk about diets, but we're not actually like, hey, how do you feel when somebody offers you food at a dinner party and you don't want to eat it, but like there's like a part of you that's so guilty and feels like you have to eat it because Nona just put all of her time and effort into it? How do you respond to that? It's like it's those kind of conversations that are so important to have, and we don't have them
I mean,
with our
let's be
girlfriends.
honest. When it comes to food or weight, women, we are the worst, like together. We're the first ones to pick at each other. We're the first ones to look at celebrities and zoom in and be like, oh my gosh, she's lost so much weight. I wonder, what
Yeah,
she's been
Christina
doing.
Aguilera. Oh my
Like,
gosh, what's happened to her? Yeah.
well, I mean, some of these are legit questions.
Yeah. I
It's
know,
like,
they're good.
oh, okay, what happened there? There was a lot of Ozempic involved, that's for sure. But
There
anyway, that's
was.
that. And it'll be interesting to also see everything we are talking about right now is the hard work. It's like the
Yeah.
hard work. It's like I don't want to go and look there, but it is the necessary work if we're looking for sustainable results. If we're
Yeah.
looking for just quick fix because we have this event and we want, then people can use the quick fixes and the peptides and all this. But the truth is, we actually even don't know the safety factor over time of these things. But it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see that. I
Yeah.
want to talk about like I love there's a concept that you bring forward that I love hearing you speak about because I feel like it's really tactical, like it's going to help women move
Oh
forward. And
yeah.
it's this 5-25-25 concept. So can you walk us through this and is that something you recommend to all your clients? Like should all women like hop on that? Like tell us all about it.
Okay. So first thing, I don't recommend it with every single woman. Second thing, it's a beautiful guideline because what we're going to talk about is meal timing, snack timing, protein, fiber, all that good stuff. And I think too, it comes down to the person. It's not like I will say this till the cows come home. There's not a cookie cutter solution for everybody. Like everybody's so different, right? And I also love saying too, like maybe this isn't like your like the 5-25-25. I love looking at guidelines. It's not like the perfect way to eat. And this is but yeah, it is very tactical. So I just did a article with Every Girl magazine on this. And what the 5-25-25 method is eating 5 mini meals a day having or aiming for 25 grams of protein at each mini meal and having a total of at least 25 grams of fiber in a day. So that's the premise. And I really love this method because it really speaks into fuel, consistent fuel. How, like, this was a lesson that I learned. How on earth am I going to perform the way that I want to and show up the way that I want to if I'm not putting good nourishment in the tank? So fueling every, 3-ish hours. And sometimes with the 5 mini meals, someone would be like, oh man, that's eating so much. But if you're, most of us are up early, 5:30, 6 o'clock with young families too. So having breakfast within, 2 hours of waking, then having a mid-morning snack, having a lunch, having an afternoon snack, and then having a dinner. So like really that's 5.
Mm-hmm.
So having that structure around it is great. It kind of gets you out of having that structure. It really helps to dial back that impulsive snacking.
Mm-hmm.
And that combo of fiber and protein at each meal and snack is killer because it helps a lot with keeping all of our blood sugar stable. It helps with hunger hormones, that drive. There's a hedonic center in our brain. That's the one that's like, yeah, let's go seek out tasty food. And those hunger hormones like ghrelin and all those guys, they'll dissipate when you have protein and fiber with each meal and snack. So I love like the music to my ears, and a couple of days of working with me, women are like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And I'm eating more good foods, but I literally have zero, like I've got no munchies. I'm not snacking at night anymore because I've given my body what it actually needs. I know, mind blowing stuff.
I
Yeah.
love it. I have
So
a
that's the
question.
premise.
Yeah, I love it. And it feels super aligned, and I love that it's still giving the digestive tract, 3 hours to digest and rest a little bit
Yeah.
so that it's not always on. But I'd love to hear, okay, so protein, I find,
Mm.
and tell me if you see that it, and that is it's my biggest challenge when it comes to
But
food. It is my biggest challenge. I find I'm never prepared enough. I find I never have things quick on the go, and that's also a big thing in my clients. And so I'd love to know,
yeah.
first of all, do you see that protein is probably the number one thing? Once we worked on the childhood and limiting beliefs and subconscious, do you find
Yeah.
that protein, like addressing that, is the thing that will move the needle the most and the fastest?
Yeah, protein's a big one. Protein, fiber, and also the like timing of meals is a big one. Protein, fiber, and the timing. But yeah, protein is a big one. And I giggle because I hear this a lot, Vanessa. Women say, "Well, I don't eat enough throughout the day. I don't eat enough, and that's why I'm not, seeing any weight loss." But when we actually look into, and I do a bit of a nutrition analysis, I said, what if the problem isn't eating enough? What if you're actually consuming more calories than your body actually needs, but you're not getting the right nutrition? You're getting a lot of carbohydrates and, sugars and things like that and saturated fats, but you're low on protein, you're low on fiber, you're low on vitamins and minerals. So it's like a total shift,
180. Yeah.
total 180. So it's really looking at the quality of the fuel. And with protein, the other trend that I see is oftentimes, women, it's like split down the middle. Women don't get enough, or they get enough, but they're getting like the bulk of it. They like back end, like they backload their day, so they don't get much protein at all throughout like the most demanding part of their day, and then they have a nice big protein load from 6 o'clock onwards. So the even distribution of it throughout your day can help massively with how you feel, function, and perform throughout your day.
If money feels inconsistent, stressful, or just harder than it should be, then your energy is what's out of alignment. You don't make money anymore. We know that this is an endless loop leading to burnout. You attract money. And if your energetic field isn't calibrated for this type of wealth, then no strategy will work the way it should. That's why I created the Money Energy Bundle, the key to unlocking this more feminine way of connecting and being a match for abundance. This is how I've been able to build my business from 0 to 1 million in cash in less than 17 months. Inside this bundle, you'll get 3 exclusive powerful masterclasses on wealth energetics, all the things you need to know and be aware of. But in order for you to also integrate this learning, I'm also including an energy clearing activation to clear any old blocks around money, as well as a wealth meditation to help you rewire your frequency and your money story. But also, all of this bundle is going to be there to help you expand your capacity to not only receive, but hold money. Because believe it or not, money wants to come into your life right now. But are you in a contracted state? Are you allowing it to come in? What I know now is that money flows to women who know how to hold it. You can grab instant access to the Money Energy Bundle for just $111 for a limited time only. You can grab the link in the show notes or DM me on Instagram the word money, and I will send you all the information to get started. I hope to see you in there. I love it. And so, okay, tell me what's your trick? And so
Yeah.
imagine you have an egg intolerance, so eggs are
Okay.
out.
Okay. Egg in the truck. Yeah. Tell me more about your specific nutrition goals and I'll give you some
Well,
tips.
I'm allowing myself to name eggs because I'm actually finding that so many of my clients that coming in this state of like fight or flight survival have built a lot of, of course, leaky gut and food intolerances, and eggs is usually almost always part of that. Now we heal that and then that
Yeah.
goes away. But for me, it keeps showing up, and it's been over 2
Yeah.
years of testing and it keeps showing up. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, egg is out. So
Okay. Egg is out. Got it.
tell me what are your go-tos? What do you love to, and I know you do a lot of batch cooking. Is that the secret?
Yeah. So yeah, a couple of things. I'll talk about the batch cooking first. I think this will be another one. When I say batch cooking, where does your mind go to? Because batch cooking for me used to be like, oh my gosh, I need to spend hours of my time on Sunday and have like my entire island full of 50 different containers of like, that does not have to be batch cooking. You can totally redefine batch cooking. And for me, batch cooking, well, I'll tell you what it looked like this morning as I was sipping my coffee here in my nightie. I was like, oh, I got 8. Oh, it's the egg example, but whatever, I'll use it anyway.
Yeah.
But batch cooking, I just boiled
Yeah.
eggs because it's like 30 seconds of hands-on time. That is batch cooking.
Yes.
Even last night, I went to the grocery store. I got some black beans. I got some extra lean ground beef. And I thought to myself, well, it's really not taking me more time to cook up the entire pound of ground beef versus doing like half a pound. So just do it now. So I did up the entire pound of lean ground beef. I tossed in a can of black beans, some chili powder, paprika, some garlic in there. Put in some grated carrots, some grated zucchini, just for some added veg. And then that was a batch prep. So now I've got protein for days, and you can freeze it after you cook it. So if you've got all of that goodness, you can put it in little Tupperware containers and throw it in the freezer. So that's what batch cooking can be. It doesn't have to be hours of your time because I don't know, like I'm a dietitian, but I'll be the first to tell you, I get zero enjoyment out of cooking, like zero. I'm not a foodie. No. So the less time in the kitchen, the better. The other thing too that I find with protein is just giving yourself permission to roll with the same proteins if they work for you. Like, I
Mm.
think we get in our head a lot around, oh, I got to have so much variety. But really, you think about the foods that you eat on a regular basis, you don't really have a ton of variety. Like, we eat the same breakfasts. Like you've probably been eating the same breakfast for months. Maybe you got like two options, but there's minimal variety in breakfast. You probably default to the same stuff at lunch, and then you go through the same two proteins or maybe three at dinner. So give yourself permission to have like five go-to proteins that just work for you. And
Yeah.
when you get bored of them, whatever, then switch one up.
Yeah, I love it.
So that's what I like to think about in terms of protein. And like my go-to proteins right now that don't include eggs. I love shrimp because it's so fast. So shrimp is a really fast, lean protein. Salmon is another one. Um, and in terms of cost effectiveness too, because this is always a conversation that well, not always, but a lot. Canned salmon, canned tuna, those are great for you. They're excellent sources of protein. They've got some healthy fats in there and they are so fast, so
Hmm.
fast.
Yep.
So getting a little peel off top things of tuna or salmon. I love making salmon cakes or little like tuna fish cakes with those. Other lean or chicken is always a go-to here. So I like doing chicken breast or ground chicken, and I'll do little like chicken meatballs in the air fryer
Yep.
or batch prep. The chicken breast, like barbecue, even do it in the crock pot. I do love a good Greek yogurt. Like it's 15 grams of protein and a half a cup. And edamame beans, I like having those because they're quick and so easy as well.
Hmm.
So though, was that five? I feel like that was five.
Yeah. And what's your take on vegan proteins?
Yeah, totally. Some great vegan proteins like edamame, tofu, tempeh, even protein powders too, right? Like there is a time and a place for protein powders, and I love having protein powder in my morning smoothies
Yeah.
because it's a super simple way to get 30 grams of protein. And the other thing that I've been doing here, I've just been putting a scoop of protein powder in a liter of water. So that's a another way to get 30 grams of protein through your afternoon.
Yep.
So protein powders absolutely have a time and a place, and they're so convenient doing a vegan, a plant-based one, or a whey protein. Yeah, for sure.
Oh wow, I love it. And I mean, the protein conversation alone could have been the topic of podcast because I feel like there's so many questions. Like, oh, and then there's like the blue zone conversation or like the inflammation coming from red meat conversation. And there's just, I think, bottom line is finding what works for you, meaning when you tap into your body and how your body feels once it's fuel, how do you feel? Do you feel tired? Do you feel bloated? Do you feel like, then that's a sign that maybe there's something that's off and looking into that. But if you feel energized, if you feel nourished and you have energy, then that's something that you stick to. And this is the thing is we are sometimes we don't pay attention to the signs of our body. The answers are right there. And that's why nutrition can feel overwhelming when you're tapping into TikTok and Instagram because everybody
Totally.
shares what's working for them. And the truth is the invitation is to look into what works for you. So I love
Yeah.
that you're saying, okay, pay attention to the signs of your body and pick perhaps the top five and rotate through those.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I won't even mention what happens if the five are not the same one in all the members of the family, which is what I always end up cooking many different meals. And I'm like, seriously, guys, we're going to have to
Yeah.
agree. But
Yeah.
that's
Me
a
out here.
whole other conversation. I know we're coming at time here, and I'm so grateful for this beautiful conversation and your energy. Is there any like last piece of information you would like to offer to women when it comes to how they feel in their body and their weight and just their overall approach to it?
Mhm. This is coming through me right now. There's nothing wrong with wanting to lose weight. There's nothing
Mm.
wrong with it.
Oh, wow. That's
Nothing
powerful.
wrong. So you do not have to feel guilty about wanting to lose weight. There's nothing wrong with that. And to me, because I had this conversation with a woman this week, and she said, I was hesitant to reach out and I feel guilty that I want to lose weight. She's like, why do I feel guilty? Because I want to lose weight. And I said, girl, there's nothing wrong with you wanting this for yourself, about bettering yourself, about nourishing yourself, about living in a body that you just feel so incredible in, and knowing in your soul that you're doing everything within your control to truly, like take care of yourself for you and your family and, everybody in your vicinity. So my yeah, there is nothing wrong with you wanting that for yourself. Celebrate the fact that you have that desire, and you have that internal knowing that, like, I get to do something about this because I am not caring for myself the way that I want to and the way that I deserve.
Yeah,
So,
that's beautiful. And I'm like, why is this hitting me so
mm,
hard? And it's allowing me to notice, again, awareness is key, how
yeah.
there's still so much shaming around that. It's insane. Like, this weight conversation is just so intricate. I love it. But thank you for all this wisdom. Leah, where can people find you? If I know they're going to want to, like, dig deep into your content and
Oh, I love
your
digging deep.
offers.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm everywhere. So you can find me on Instagram, Leah Van Dolder. I also have a podcast it's called the Reclaim Podcast. It's found on Spotify, Apple, and iHeartRadio. And my website too is leahvandolder.com.
Awesome. We'll put all of these in the show notes. And yeah, we recorded a really powerful episode together. Maybe I'll drop that also in the show notes, because
Yeah.
that was such a beautiful, empowering conversation too.
Hmm.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for shedding your light and your energy on this topic. We need women to be coming back to their bodies, coming back to their power through feeling their best, like,
Hmm.
period, and stop
Period.
feeling guilty for that. Like,
Yeah.
it's got to go. So
Yeah.
I thank you for your time and wisdom, and thank you for everybody who listened. I hope that this episode was impactful. If it was, please let us know. Leave us a review, DM me or Leah. Let us know how this impacted you. We'd love to know. And thank you for being here, and we'll see you next week. The information shared on this podcast is for information purposes only and doesn't provide any medical advice. Vanessa Grutman does not cure, diagnose, or treat disease. Please consult your physician before trying any new protocol or product.